Well, hello, crafters. I do not do well in heat. And somehow, in like the last hour, the heat has gotten brutal in my neck of the woods. Now, understand I'm in an old house. So it's already not the best for temperature to begin with. Ugh. Y'all can see I'm already flush. We got an air conditioner, we got fans, we got ceiling fans, we got air circulation going through the house. It is brutal. And unfortunately, because reasons, most of my storm windows are still on. I've got a single air conditioner because normally we just put a bunch of hurricane fans around the house and keep all the wind whipped up. Oh, I'm drinking water. No, I'm drinking lots of water, dude. You don't got to preach to me, man. As the guy that's been hospitalized for dehydration twice in my life, yeah, no, I drink a lot of freaking water. I mean, the nice thing about it is when you're building models, it means they cure quickly. So I've been kicking through and finishing up a bunch of Ray's models. He asked me to build some models for him. So I built his Tartaros Terminators, and I touched up and cleaned up his Assault Intercessors. Not a lot going on. I mean, all that stuff went on pre-sale this past weekend. There's a bunch of stuff coming up for AOS, which is really exciting. New figures, new armies, new bunches of stuff. None of it's stuff that I play. So unfortunately, AOS is like very, very hobby for me. It's like I like my Stormcast. I like my ogres, my ogors. I like my demons, and the thing is that my Slanesh demons are so far down the scale of building. Yeah, no, dude, actually, I would like to. I will be there this weekend at a minimum. Like everybody wants to play me this weekend. It's crazy. I'm bringing. Oh, this weekend's gonna be nuts. I have an early game against Max because he wants to test out one of his new lists, and I'm bringing a variation of my tournament list for the big June tournament that I'm in. And he's never faced against this army before. I'm playing Custodes. I just didn't because I don't get a chance to look at my phone a lot while I'm at work. I thought it was neat. I think Jason hit it dead on. I think you need to do a little bit more blending on the cloak, but other than that, it looked great. I like the color scheme. It's more colorful than I do for my figures, so it was hard for me to comment completely objectively. I think what you were going for was really cool. And I think if you did a little bit more blending on the cloak, it would look really, really, really good. I think it looks good as it is. I think a little blending and that would be mwah. I've been so busy. I love my new job. I want to be clear. I love my new job. The people I work with are great. The company I work for is great. They're very open about talking how much value I'm bringing to the company, so it's great. It's exhausting. It is a very busy job. So it's been brutal. It has been brutal because they're coming into their big season. That they're coming into their busy season. So we have been doing a lot of people. So it's been very busy. So it's very exhausting. And then you add in heat, and big people like me don't do well in heat. And it just started today, really. It's been okay warm, but it's been back and forth. But it's just, right now, it's oppressive. If you're not in Wisconsin, I mean, a lot of you are, so you know. The air is really high humidity. The air is really thick. And it's very oppressively warm right now. So for me, it's just like, I came home and I had to wring out my socks. I mean, that's just nasty. It's just hot. So, I don't like hot because hot is hot. It's uncomfortable. It's good for painting though. I got a bit more on Nick's big terrain project. I've got a bunch of filming done. I got to sit down and edit. I got all kinds of good stuff on there. I have some personal projects I got to work on. I got the terrain I got to finish. The terrain at the game went over really well. Everybody liked it. We're going to talk about some changes we want to make before the July tournament. Speaking of tournament, big things coming out this week. We're going on pre-sale this week. Grand Tournament and Chapter approved. You did another Underworlds figure. Nice. You know, I forgot about these guys. Ugh. I had these guys just sitting there. I forgot all about them. So I got to get these guys assembled and painted. I play AOS project. You gonna buy me another army? God. Oh my God. That's tough. I have a lot of this leftover foam. I did a lot of measuring and I did a lot of counting. Toothpick. And I made still much more than I thought I did. And yeah, the sizing was a bit off too. Not that it was too tall, but I'm making a nice set of this, cut it down a little bit, make a nice nifty set for myself. That'll be a little bit neater, a little bit sharper, a little bit more battle worn, maybe put some bullet holes in it, maybe put some posters and some graffiti on it. Get it with a good coat of spackle and plaster to put a little bit more of a texture on it so it doesn't melt as much. Oh, content. Yeah, I mean, it's content for the channel. And it's content for you guys and stuff for you guys that I can show you. I will admit, I'm burnt. I want to finish the stuff I have my palette before I get to anything new. So I want to finish up with Nick's terrain. Sorry, I want to finish up with Commodore's terrain. I want to get to my Tau. I really want to get to my Tau. I really want to paint my Tau. But with the release of the new Mechanicus stuff, I've got a couple of projects I know are going to be coming down. I just assembled an entire Start Collecting box for Mechanicus for my guy, and I know he's planning on getting 2 of the Combat Patrol boxes that I am beholden because the amount of prepayment I've already received, I am beholden to build. Yes, Commodore's name is out there. He's Nick. Nick the Dick. These guys are done. I can ditch that in the garbage. Oh, done. Ditch that in the garbage. I got to clean up my bench. My bench is an absolute disaster. Jesus. All these projects lately, and I have a bunch of wolves that I dug out while I was trying to clean. I am not using your government name. I'm using your informal first name, Nick the Dick. My guy, Antonio. Oh, my God. Good to see you, bruh. Got to see Antonio this weekend. Casey, good to see you, brother. Here's the other nice thing about building stuff for other people. They don't care about their decals. So if I ever do stuff, I get to use their decals on like neat other stuff, which is cool. Great for terrain, great for other projects. I love the skulls and gears, so that'll work. But yeah, I got an Age of Sigmar army I eventually need to dig out of dust and finish painting them up. I've got a huge box of them I need to finish painting up. I thought they were done, and I looked at them and went, oh, they don't have any shading, or they're only base coats, and they don't really match the rest of my army, so I might have to strip them because they don't match well enough. It makes me sad. I got a bunch of them to go. And now there's new Stormcast coming. So, yeah, that new starter, whatever's going to be in that new starter, that's going to be in my pocket when that comes out. Because Stormcast, I just want all the Stormcast. I love them. I love the look of them. I don't care if they suck or whatever. I just love the look. I really, really love the look of the Stormcast. Just big armor and shoulders and lions and griffins and giant weapons. And I love them so much. I want to convert them all to Space Marines. No, not really. Although somebody was pointing out, man, those new guys with the hammers would make some really great looking Terminators for the Celestial Lions. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I just love their look. Just they're big knights. I think, oh my gosh, the new chick, the new female Sanguinius for the Stormcast. I want that. As much as I want the dude on the giant dragon, I kind of want her more. She looks hot. I mean, I'm not going to paint her as a blonde. I'm going to paint her as a redhead. I want nature's warning label on that. Getting the games in lately has been great, I gotta say, though. I've been loving Phoenix. You know, at some point, you just have to go, stop it. These are mine. You got to lay down. You got to lay down the law and go, these are mine. And that is how you get a hobby family to work. Like, I don't care how good, wonderful, or amazing the Drukhari are. They are Lady D's, and I won't even look at them to play them. Because it hurts. We split on Marines because, I mean, Marines are generic. But, like, she's doing Cornates. No Cornates for me. You know, she wants to do the crazy elf psycho sister. What are they called in AOS? The witches. I don't know. They're basically Drukari in fantasy. The difference is, Commodore, I don't steal armies. I trade armies. I'm going to take these and I'm going to give you this. And you'll like it. Oh. So let me go back a minute, what I was talking about a minute ago. So this week on pre-order, we're going to be getting the updated mission pack book with new maps, new missions, with new rules for how secondaries work to kind of balance out match play, which to me is important because I think match play in 40K is the best play. I can see the draw of having an open play campaign setting where you have specific storylines and specific things, but I could never do Crusade. Too much extra paperwork, too much headache. You know, Phoenix, if you prime them, they're yours. That's the rule. Even I have to abide by that rule. Once you prime them, they're yours. So build and prime them. And if you need help building them, just bring them to your uncle. I can be talked into building models at the drop of a hat. The other book that's coming out, though, is chapter approved. And that is a head scratcher. Because I have chapter approved. They gave away chapter approved 2 months ago, 3 months ago. They gave it away. They gave it away in a White Dwarf. And everybody was like, wow, this is amazing. This is great. This is what they should be doing. And everybody universally praised Games Workshop for replacing chapter approved in White Dwarf, giving people a reason to buy White Dwarf and a good source of reasoning behind White Dwarf. Because a lot of White Dwarf is fluff that some people won't care about. But if you have other, like, for nuts and bolts, guys, if you got nuts and bolts stuff in there, we like it. And then maybe we'll look at your campaign stuff. Maybe more paint guides. That's what I keep saying. Put more paint guides in freaking White Dwarf. That used to be the only reason we buy White Dwarf, because there was like 20 pages of heavy metal or heavy metal and freaking paint guides in those things. And now you're lucky if you get, like, you know, some finished paints and maybe one single page paint guide, which I think aggravating. I mean, they have their YouTube channel, but since Duncan left, I haven't liked it as much. But that's me. And the worst part is I really don't like Duncan's channel very much. I don't know. There's something about it. It's just, the magic is gone. It's kind of like when Glenn Fry left the Eagles. It's Glenn Fry, but he's not with the Eagles. It's not Glenn Fry and Joe Walsh. And you take them apart, and Glenn Fry's kind of whiny, and Joe Walsh is like really, and I like them both, but they were better together. And that's the way I kind of look at Duncan and Games Workshop. They're better together. Nobody likes plain jelly sandwiches, and plain peanut butter sandwiches are nasty. But peanut butter jelly, that's the stuff. Just saying. GW, pay the man. Bring him back. So they took the book and they're releasing it. So the question is the chapter approved that we got for free the same one they're going to be giving away? I mean, the same one they're putting on pre-order, that's going to be, what, a $40 book? maybe a $35 book. I mean, if it's the same book, it's basically for people that didn't get the book when it was out, which I guess is fine. But at the same time, if it's different, exactly, Commodore, it's 3 months. Did they literally do another chapter approved in 3 months? And a book they gave away, gave you a taste. Yeah, throw it away. Here's the real book. Man, if they did that, that would be I would cry. I will, on the air, I will cry for exactly 30 seconds if the book they release is the exact same or is not the exact same book that they gave away 3 months ago. I will spend 30 seconds actually crying on the air. It had a couple. It had a couple points updates. Now, if they're going to release chapter approved every 3 months, then they really need to put that in freaking White Dwarf and not be trying to sell us a $30 book or $35 or $40 or however much this freaking book is. So I'm cautious. I have to say, I also learned something new this weekend that makes me... I learned something about an army that I did not know. And that's not that surprising because I don't know everything. But it was about a unit that I thought I knew a lot about. And I found something out about a unit that I love, that I found one army that their version of the unit is really good. So I got to look at point costs. Because I love Terminators. Just saying, like, I saw a list. I learned a list a day ago for Death Guard that is all Terminator. I mean, there's like a 10-man unit of Terminators and then three 3-man units of Bodyguard Terminators, and I'm like, this is a beautiful. Hey, Lurk, what is up, buddy? What is up? So I'm looking at this list, and I think it's great. But this goes back to learning something this weekend. So for those of you that don't know, although most of you people in here know this, my buddy Antonio plays Thousand Sons. And one of the staples in his army is this huge 10-man blob of Terminators. The Scarab Terminators. I forget what they're called. But they're really, really good-looking Terminators. Just saying, I have always thought the aesthetics of the Thousand Sons was great. Even if my wolves want to beat them into ash cans, I love the aesthetics of Thousand Sons. Now, one of the nice things about Terminators is that they get Stormbolters. Now, Stormbolters can be a lot of DACA. There's a stratagem that lets you fire twice with them. One of the few non-primary stratagems out there. I don't know which army it's for. I think that's only for my Death Guard. They have one that they get to shoot again. And the problem with Terminators is that Stormbolters, as great as they are a a lot of DACA, they have no AP unless you're in the right phase, the right combat phase. So I think that's assault phase, whichever the second phase is, that you can keep for second and third turn. Stormbolters don't have any AP. And so they're a lot of DACA, but they're basically a bunch of bolter DACA. They hit good, but they're still strength 4, no AP. They're kind of, all right. So I'm always trying to find ways to improve or put secondary things on or stick additional special weapons on my Terminators, because I still think Terminators are just beautiful models. I love their look. I've always loved them ever since the very beginning. And I want to have as many Terminators as I can in an army. If I can possibly do it, I want to put Terminators in. So anyhow, I'm looking at my buddy, and he's playing a game with some friends, and he's got his Terminators out, and he's trying to tell me about his Terminators. And the problem is that he took I'm trying to process this as me not being impressed, because he loves his army. Now, Antonio is a very good painter. I mean, he is a great painter. And he is a great advocate for the hobby. There are even some aspects of the hobby that he and I disagree on. And we've had our conversations, and not like rah, 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 disagree, but I don't know that I disagree with that thing, with your stance on something, and he doesn't agree with my stance on something. But there's some other middle grounds that we've come to, because he's much more of a open play, power level, narrative type player, which there's nothing wrong with. It's just not my style of 40K. My style is more points as points. Let's get it down. Let's get our objectives. Let's get the numbers. Let's do this. There's nothing wrong with his view on 40K. There's nothing wrong with my view on 40K. There are a lot of things we both agree on. One of the biggest ones is you do not have to justify why you like your army. Your army is your army, and it calls to you and it says things to you for whatever reason. If you like it, I don't care. If you're not playing S-tier players at national level tournaments on the regular, meta should not factor into what you play. What you want to put on the board should factor into what you want to play. When I play my wolves, I want Thunderwolf cavalry. I want guys with chain swords running on the ground, and I want guys with either fists or hammers and shields running on wolves. I want guys running all over the place like maniacs and chopping everything to bits. And there's some guys in guns just kind of spraying guns around until you can get the chain swords and the axes and stuff to people. Exactly, Palark. Exactly. People are talking. I've had a lot of people talk about, wolves aren't competitive, and wolves can't do this, and wolves can't do that, and wolves aren't this, and wolves aren't that. And I played who a lot of people consider one of the best players in our local playing group, in his Harlequins, which are absolutely nasty. And he pointed out, until you made that mistake, and I made a big mistake at one point, but until you made that mistake, I thought I was dead. He thought I had him beat. And the mistake I made, I won't make again. So he wants to play me again, but he's also going, I'm scared of your wolves. They do stuff that I can't handle. And that's because I play units that people say aren't good. I play units that people say, well, why would you use them? Because they do stuff I want them to do. And they fit my play style. And they fit the way I want to play the game with my army and my wolves. So it's good. That being said, my buddy Antonio has a really, really awesome Thousand Sons army. And he doesn't like Magnus. So he doesn't have a Magnus. And for the longest time, he's been using an Araman. But I talked to him this weekend. He doesn't know if he's going to ever use Araman again. He's figured out for his army how he likes using some sorcerers. And he uses a number of exalted sorcerers. And that's cool. But he put down these Terminators, and I'm like, huh. So they got the all is dust thing. All right. So -1 AP weapons have 0 AP. That's okay. And he's talking about their guns. And I'm like, well, they got storm bolters. And I said this. I go, they got storm bolters. I mean, storm bolters are good. And he starts talking about what he can do with them. I'm like, yeah, I know. I have the same kind of thing on my Death Guard. And he's like, and then they hit with -2 AP. And I'm like, storm bolters don't hit with -2 AP. Storm bolters have regular AP. They're 0 AP. And he looks at me and says, do you think you know my army better than me? And I'm like, well, if they've got storm bolters. And he's like, they have Fellfire storm bolters. Or some type of fire, warp fire. I'm too much wild lately. Warp fire storm bolters. Warp fire storm bolters. What's that? So it's basically storm bolters with -2 AP. Now, if I'm playing Terminators and I can put a group of 10 down with storm bolters at -2 AP, I'm putting a group of 10 down. And then I'm putting another group of 10 down. And then I'm putting another group. And I'm putting 30 of those things on the board because, yes, that sounds delicious. So he took my trying to process this as, oh, you know what you look like? You're like, man, and yeah, tell me, I'm like, no, you don't understand, man. I'm processing the numbers and going, how many of these start collecting kits can I find? Because I think there's a pack of Terminators in each one of them. How many of those do I got to buy to get 30 Terminators? Turns out they don't have them in there. I don't think. So I got to think about this. Because I like Terminators. And I like -2 AP. That's like peanut butter cups. It's like chocolate and peanut butter coming together. And then I got sad. And this goes back to the conversation I just had with Phoenix and the Commodore. I was sad. I had a sad. Because Lady D and I have already had a conversation. And in this conversation, she has claimed the 1,000 Suns as her Chaos Army. That gives me a sad. I mean, she wants them for completely different reasons. She just loves to look. She loves the whole Egyptian thing. She loves the whole mystical sorcerer thing. So I can understand that. I want some of them Scarab Terminators. It's not the 1,000 Suns, it's the 999 Suns. With Mogu, the green. All is rust. Nah, see, that's the problem, Orc. You don't understand me. That is entirely the problem. You don't understand me. I'm just gonna let Commodore react to this because he's been to my house and he's seen my armies. Commodore, answer this for the fine folks at home. Hey, Big D, you're just going to buy 2,000 points in an army, right? Yeah. That's that's not happening. All is rust. Yeah, there you go. I'll just paint them blue and white. 3D printer and go burn. That's some heretical shit right there. All is rust. Oh, I do have a really nice model for them, though. Oh, yeah. I gotta say though, I built some Tartaros Terminators this week for Ray, and I gotta say, I do like the model. You might be on something there. I have to think about it. Or maybe I will just 3D print Lady D and Army and say, I'm going to play it while you're not here. Now that won't go over. Yeah, you know, like I said, you have to know your boundaries. She gets the crazy elves in Age of Sigmar. I get the Stormcast. I get the Slaaneshi demons. She gets the Khorne demons. I get Space Wolves. She gets Salamanders. Dude, my printer has been... So my printer came out of alignment when I was printing some bases for my son. And I set it aside, and I've been meaning to get to it. And I have been so gosh darned busy. I haven't touched my 3D printer in a month, maybe 2 at this point. No, it's been a month because I used it the first week Ray was back, and I haven't used it since. So the last week of April, has it? Oh, yeah, it's been a month because I used it the last week of April, and I haven't used it since. I've been meaning to print a bunch of stuff, and I haven't even been able to print anything just because I haven't been able to set the printer up, and it's out of alignment. So I got to do a full alignment, and I gotta break out the level and re-level. The whole thing's out of whack. It's printing my stuff and drifting, so I probably gotta clean the spindle and re-oil it. I got a whole bunch of work to do on that thing, and I just haven't been feeling it because I've had so many other projects at hand between the building the terrain and painting the terrain and all the other stuff I've had I'm just like, ugh. And now I need basing because there's this lovely Kickstarter that I just saw that's got a bunch of bases, and I found a couple of the bases. They have these beautiful cracked desert bases that kind of make me want to debase all of my death speakers and rebase them on the cracked desert bases because that's what they are. So I gotta think about that. So no, I haven't. Sorry, buddy. I just haven't been able to. I haven't been able to do crap with my printer in weeks. I mean, the amount of stuff I have sitting around that I can't get to because I got a queue and I have to stick to my queue. The only stuff that happens is when I get stuff from Factlandia, it kind of moves to the head of the class because of financial things. But it's like, if I'm not working on the Factlandia stuff, I got to work on Commodore stuff because, you know, he hooked me up. So I got to get that stuff done for him. And it's good. It's getting there. It's a lot of terrain. So it's one piece at a time that you just got to focus on and paint, and one piece at a time and you got to paint. And it's busy. It's very busy. I mean, it's part of the reason my shows have been cut short the last couple weeks. I just don't have the time. I'm so stressed for time and not a lot going on. And don't have a co-host, and unfortunately, I can talk. But when I don't have a co-host to talk at, I kind of run out of steam. Yeah, I want to thank Phoenix for getting me the link to it because they are really good. They are really good. And I'm thinking about the movement trays, actually getting the full movement tray version. So, because movement trays have become a thing, especially with the new army. I want to reconfiguration of my Death Guard army that involves having 100 boxwalkers on the table. Yes, folks, you heard me right, 100 boxwalkers. There's a build that has been going around that I looked at, and I understand what they're doing with that, and it's glorious and hilarious. 100 poxwalkers. Now remember, that's 5 squads of poxwalkers, so you got to have 5 units of specific kind of Marines to balance them out. And they balanced them out with all Terminators. So that's kind of, it's a lot of Terminators. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. One of the local gaming stores recently dug a bunch of their stuff out of their back, and I was like, "Oh, cool! There's some really cool old stuff here that they're going to try and sell. Some of it's at reduced prices. I should have a little bit more money right now because there's a box I really want, but it's $125. But it's a lot of stuff in that box. So, yeah. But one of the things that he had was a ton from about 2 years ago. If anybody remembers when they released, where is this? I'll talk to you about it offline. He's got a ton of, from 2 years ago, the Apocalypse box sets were out. And he's got a metric boatload of 25, 32, and 40 millimeter movement trays. And I'm like, let me take a look at, oh crap, those are expensive. Oh. I was like, I could get me some of the, wow, those are freaking expensive. Like, I was shocked. And it made me realize why they still had them in stock. Because for a bunch of clear plastic trays, yeah, I think you get 8 or 10 in a pack. But they were like $40 a pack. I'm like, I mean, I have a 3D printer. I have a jigsaw. And I have washers on the bottoms of all my figures so I can get magnet sheets and use that. But I wouldn't mind if somebody got like one of each of the 32, the 25, and the 40. I wouldn't mind getting one of each, trace them to get a good idea. But then now this Kickstarter actually has movement trays as part of the Kickstarter. And again, I don't know if I want to print resin. That's why I'm debating it, because resin's still kind of fragile and you can drop it and shatter. And if you think I'm not going to drop a movement tray, then you haven't met me. I drop my wallet, putting it in my pocket daily. I am kind of famous for knocking over sodas. So I'd like to trace one of the 32s just to get an idea of the movement, to get an idea of the size. I figured if nobody, I know Ben's probably got him because Ben buys everything. He is GW's poster boy. But I mean, those 32s would be nice. I mean, if nothing else, for Marines, can trace a bunch, trace one out and cut them out of cut them out of MDF and have a template and cut one out of MDF, and then I could cut it, say, out of foam. Cut it out of foam, and then put a little inset in there you can stick your figures in. So I want to take a look. Yeah, so I definitely want to look at them there, Kami. So yeah, movement trades, it might be something I do, just because the idea of moving around 100 freaking poxwalkers is stupid. Putting 100 poxwalkers on the table just sounds like a good time. You can't wound that many of us. We've got too many. How many shots would you have to expend to kill that many poxwalkers? Mm, 100 poxwalkers just sounds hilarious. I just want someone to just go, that ain't right. I mean, it's bad enough that there's one of the reasons I want the 25 is also there's a guard list I kind of want to play that's silly, but it's like 170 guards. How do you do it? 170 guardsmen. You die, son. You run, you shoot, you die. That's what you do, son. So I got ideas. I got lots of ideas. Any of you just come out of foam, like heavy duty foam board, and then lacquered them with Mod Podge, and just put a freaking magnet sheet on them with washer bottomed minis. That'd be pretty tight. I know that'd be pretty tight. So, something to think about. Again, stuff for the brain to think about and process. Yeah, if you die, when you die, fall down and let the gun rest on top of you. You're replaceable. The gun, not so much. Nice. And you know, if you're a Kriegsman, you know that. You live for that. Warm up, my man. How are you, sir? Good to see you, man. You have been cranking on Zombicide lately. I'm very proud of you, man. Good stuff. Good content. So yeah. So what's in the future? Wobble. What has Big D heard about in the future? What has Big D heard about in the future? Well, obviously everybody knows that the Sisters book is coming. Everybody knows the Sisters book is coming. Because of a leak that GW did themselves, it is fairly obvious that we're going to be getting Thousand Sons and Grey Knights real soon after the Sisters. They're probably the next two armies. Which is nice to get another Chaos faction, but we're going to get most of the Imperium out of the way before we get into the deep parts of the non-Imperium world. So you got Thousand Sons and Grey Knights are coming out. They leaked it. They showed it. I mean, you can't really call it a preview because they didn't really go, they went, yeah. And with all the orc stuff that they've been showing, very obviously orcs are coming quick. So we know orcs are going to be coming. I heard a rumor from a fairly reliable source fairly reliable source that has it on good authority. Don't be pedantic with me, Ben. I've heard from a very reliable source that has been he's got about a 90% accuracy rate from the things I have gleaned from him. That the elves, the Eldar, are in the works to get a major refresh within 2021. Probably third quarter, possibly fourth quarter. They're not going to do it this summer. They got too many other things going on, I guess. But he speaks with some authority. I can't go into who it is or how I know him or any of that kind of stuff because I promised anonymity. But yeah, I have on good authority that the elves are getting a refresh. The Eldar are getting a refresh. And we're talking new book, new units, and maybe not new units, but units from resin to plastic. We should be getting some word on that more than likely third quarter, which would be nice. It'd be nice, and maybe some of these, it'd be nice to see them get some good rules. How much he said it was going to be a major line refresh. Does that mean that that's going to be online with what the orcs are getting? The orcs are getting all new figures and all new units. I mean, the orcs already have a really large codex, and it looks like they're getting all new units. Basically, prime orcs. I love them. I love the look of them. I know that there's going to be a box. They've already shown the box. When that box comes out, I'm buying it. It's mine. Whatever the size is, whatever the cost is, I'm buying at least one of those boxes. There is a very real part of me that looks at it and goes, if it is in the cards, I'll get two. Because I want my orcs. I got to get my orcs done. My orcs are half painted at this point. They're not even entirely built because I found 2 more boxes of orcs stashed. So mostly built. And I got a ton of kit bashing to do for them. So I got to get them going because I want to get those orcs done. But they're down the chain because the tower ahead of them and before the Tau are the Commodores. So project priority for folks. Keep your projects in priority. I have a army I've been buying figures for and collecting figures for and shunting figures away for many months now. I have a lot more than this now. I have a lot more than this now. A lot. I think you can see right there, if you recognize what that is. Yeah, I got one of those for these boys. I don't know when I'm going to be getting to them. But I got to say, now that the Cadians are getting a refresh, my Cadian army eventually is going to be getting some. I don't need a lot for them. I really don't. I mean, they've got 99% of what they want for them. I just want a couple other fun units to add in there at this point. So we'll see. But I might want them for just some of their sprues so that I can take their bits and add them onto some other dwarven figures, which I found real quick. There is another company that produces a very similar to 40K game. I don't even know the name of the game off the top of my head. But their Imperial Guard equivalent, they're guys with laser rifles. For $40, come 36 in a box, plastic. Oh my God, Jam Jar. My spicy buddy, how are you, sir? So good to see you. I've missed you terribly, Jam Jar. Good to see you, mate. Really good to see you. But they've got like an Imperial Guard replacement unit that they use for their game that looks fabulous. They're a British war game company. I got to look at the name of it because it's a 40K like game. I mean, and it's crazy because they've got these Imperial Guard that look like they're a hybrid. They look like Imperial Guard with some Tau armor bits on them, but not totally Tau. It's like they look a lot like the Marines from Starship Troopers. Really, really nice. Really, really good looking figures. But again, they get 36 in a box for it's 36 in a box for like $40. And you can get them on Amazon. I really thought about picking up a box or two of those. They just look really good. They've got a couple of their armies. They're orcs. They call them something raiders, and they look like somebody designed the classic 90s orcs and then brought them with keeping the design elements of the 90s orcs and brought them into the 21st century. They're just really, really good looking figures. And again, $40, you get 36 of their figures in there. One of the other armies they have are apparently an entire army of space dwarves. But they're a hybrid army because they're space dwarves, but apparently they're Nordic dwarves because they look very space wolfy. They've got pelts and furs and machine guns and huge power axes. And I'm like, I kind of want them. So it might be Gates of Antares. A buddy of mine on Facebook linked me the box of the dwarves because he knows the guy that gave me these linked that. He's like, dude, look at these guys. They would go great with them. I mean, I'm not looking to use these guys for competitive play. I'm looking to use these guys for fun. I don't care that they're not GW pure models. The idea of being able to put down an entire massive dwarven space army, it's super appealing to me. So I got to look more into them. I really got to look more into them. They've got another set of Marine, or they've got another set of troopers that look like high-tech Kriegers as well. So, I mean, they got some cool figures in this line. So I'm going to look at them. If I get any of them, I'll unbox them on the air, obviously. Really thinking about them. They look cool. 36 guys in a box for $40. You can't beat that. You can't beat that, especially when they're made of the same high-quality plastic, and the sculpts are good. They're good, pretty sculpts. So, all right, folks. I'm out of gas. I'm hot. It's so hot in here. I got to get in a room where I've actually got some air movement around or something. Maybe lay down on my chaise, let the fan and the air conditioner blow on me, gently wafting cool air over my body. But it is too hot to be in this room tonight. It is too hot to be in the hobby closet this evening. So, that being said, let me give a quick shout out to you guys. Ben Carrasquillo, Tina Raven, Commodore, Flight of the Phoenix, Casey Denmore, Antonio Alcazar, Jam Jar 34, Mini Warmut, Pale Orc. I want to thank you guys. Did I say Tina Raven? If I didn't, I say Tina Raven again. I want to thank you guys for coming out and seeing me tonight and coming out and hanging out with me while I rant and talk about just stuff. Because that's what summer is. Summer is the time of you don't got time to hobby as much as you'd like to because you got stuff. And summer is here. Next weekend is Memorial Day weekend. 3-day weekend. I like 3-day weekends. I got a 3-day weekend next weekend. That's going to be crazy. So, that being said, focus on your projects. Remember, keep yourself happy with what you're doing, but finish project. Finish, move to the next. Finish, move to the next. Get things off your plate so you don't feel overwhelmed. I got to give a big shout out to Ben Carrasquillo, very specifically, because Ben has been the man lately, and Tina as well. But Ben's been like in a real hard run at it. Ben is in our community. He really promotes some of the more casual, more fun games, and just getting people in to just casually get together. Let's just get together and game. He's a great guy for that. One of the games that he actually got me hooked on is this Underworlds. I completely blame him, and I thank him at the same time because I really, really like Underworlds. It's a fun game. But you very quickly get a bunch of war bands, and you've got they've only got 4 or 5 guys in a war band, but if you don't paint them, then you got 4 or 5, and then you got another group. They're going to have a completely different paint scheme. And then another group, they have another paint scheme. And you end up having a bunch of different armies, and they're not painted because they click together and you can play with them. So Ben has been doing this whole, I am painting these, and I'm painting one figure a day. So he primed them all up, and he has just been, I'm painting this one today, and he paints it and puts it up on Instagram. And he paints the next one up on Instagram and paints it, and getting it done. That should be your hashtag if it's not already on there. Get it done. Get her done. Finished. Something like that, man. You got to get out there because if you're not familiar with Ben Carrasquillo, he's an amazing painter. He's been featured a couple of times on Frosted and Fist. I'm very lucky for him to be my friend. He's a great painter. Tina, you're a great painter as well. And I like that you've been knocking stuff out too and pushing your limits and doing stuff too. I like to see people finishing projects, pushing their limits, and doing stuff. That's good. That's good. Speaking of which, I got a quick one to show you because Lady D has not been anywhere near the workbench lately. She's taken some time off of work, and maybe she will, but she has been pushing herself. She's been pushing her own art. She's been, if you've been watching her Instagram, she's been trying new styles of art, new mediums of art, and trying to do new stuff. So this month, she decided to working with inks and watercolors. So this is her latest piece. Now, I know it's reversed, so you can't see it, but the words say gods and heathens. And this is going to be the header for the online comic that she and I are working on together. These are 4 of the primary characters of that said comic. That's the name of the comic. And that's the big release on the new name of the comic. It's gone through a couple different names, but I think we finally settled on Gods and Heathens because of what it fits. So these 4 are 4 elementals, and they're 4 of the primary characters of the story. This is just inks and watercolors. And this is completely new for her. So I'm going to have her put this up on Instagram. If everybody be so kind as to go out there and give her some love. This is Amazing work for her, stretching her own boundaries, pushing herself to do new things. That's what I want you all to do. Push yourself, do new things, do interesting things, do different things, try stuff that's different for you. Commodore, learn how to use an airbrush. You'll master it in no time. All right, y'all. So, again, I want to thank all of you for being here tonight with me. I want to thank you all for stopping by and saying hi. I want to thank you all for hitting the up arrow. If you haven't yet, do so. If I entertained you, and if I did entertain you and you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. Ring that bell. You know when we do our crazy little things. We're doing them every Tuesday, but we got other things we're trying to do here and there. Summer's going to make it hard, and we're going to push. I'm going to try and get some more shots of the upcoming tournament that's coming up in mid to end of June, and let you guys know how my custodes wreck some face. Until then, I'm the Gamecraft Dragon. Remember, epic your game, epic your board, paint your figures, epic your army, and epic your life. I love you all. Be well.